What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. I hope you're all doing really well. What a week. Very excited. It's another Friday. It's another episode of Why Are We Bullish? And what a week to be bullish. Holy shite. It's been an interesting one. So we've got a great panel. Awesome guys that we're all gonna just get bullish together, and I hope you guys get bullish in the chat too. It's gonna be a fun time. I've got a beverage, a celebratory beverage here this week. Join me. But of course, this is live. Anything can happen, so I defer to my friend Bill here.
Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
If you have not already, please do like, subscribe, share, all those things. They help a ton getting this content in front of more eyeballs. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.
Before we dive in, let's take a quick look at where we are on the market right now. I'm pulling up timechaincalendar.com. Let's do a little switcheroo here. We're sitting at $76,454 per coin. A single US dollar will snag you 1,308 sats. And you know what? Because the Canadian moose shekel is underperforming so horribly, I gotta highlight the price of that because we're at 106,397, 400, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. They're not worth anything anyways. But well past 100 grand in the trusty Canadian moose shekel. So take that for what it is. In terms of fees, next block 4 sats per byte. So still nice and low there. And in terms of Bitcoin mined, 19.77 million. That's 94.18% of the total supply. We're going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors before we bring in our panel. We'll see you in just 1 minute. Bitcoin Well is on a mission to enable independence by being one of the easiest and quickest ways to purchase Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And the best part about it, every buy goes directly into your own self-custody. They never hold your coins. You can add a Bitcoin address as part of onboarding. There's a transparent 1% spread, no hidden fees, no withdrawal fees. Plus they have KYC free sells and bill payments on their website. They're also a publicly traded company under the ticker BTCW on the TSXV. Check them out over at bitcoinwell.com. Check out my full tutorial on how to use them, and you can check out the links in the show notes down below and sign up today. CoinKite.com has some of the best hardware on the market today to secure your Bitcoin. The Cold Card Q is an absolute powerhouse and is my daily driver. And on top of this, they have plenty of other goodies, including the Mark IV, the Tap Signer, Open Dimes, the Block Clock, and much more. If you head over to their website, make sure you use code BTC Sessions at checkout to get a nice discount. Links are in the show notes down below. All right, we are back in. It's time to bring in our guests and start getting bullish. So I'm going to welcome to the stage David, Aladdan, and Nathan. Gentlemen, pleasure to see you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me and getting bullish. It's a unique week, and I can't wait to see where the conversation leads us. But before we get to that, let's do a quick round of intros so that anybody unfamiliar that's watching can get to know you. So David, I'll toss it to you. Who are you? What do you do?
My name is David Branscum. I'm from Texas, where the hash rate comes from. We have about 15% of global hash rate estimated in Texas. I've been in this space for about 3 years, and I am super excited just to be here. This is a rare time for Bitcoin right now, so super effing bullish. Let's go.
Hell yeah. I love to hear it. Aladdan, you're up next. Good to have you back, man. Give yourself a quick intro.
Thank you, brother. I'm Aladdan. I'm the founder of Bitcoin Trading Cards. just trying to do everything I can to bring Bitcoin adoption to as many normies as possible. Doing our part, everyone else focusing on bringing in the big money, which is amazing. I'm focused on hopefully bringing in as many mom and pops as possible.
Hell yeah. I've got my collection on my shelf over here. I've got my own. I was honored to be on a card. That was a lifelong. It was an internalized dream of mine to be on a card at some point, and now it's a reality. So thanks for that.
A lot more coming. The second edition of Sessions is going to be next level.
Nice.
It up.
That's awesome. All right, we'll toss it to Nathan. Dude, good to see you, of course. Welcome to the show. Let people know who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much, Ben. So I'm Nathan Fitzsimmons. I'm one of the mentors with Bitcoin Mentor, and I'm helping people with the how-to of the side of Bitcoin.
Hell yeah. And I you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna do it live. I think we're gonna drop some sauce here. We're gonna let people know what's going on. There's gonna be some additions and some changes to this channel in the coming few months here. And I've been working closely with Nathan with Bitcoin Mentor, and he's been fucking killing it over there. And I'm going to tell a quick little story here, but like when we put out the word for Bitcoin Mentor, which is our company where we do like one-on-ones and educate people and help people with their custody and all that kind of stuff. We asked for video submissions, and Nathan, if I'm not mistaken, you literally like took the format of like a tutorial, and you're like, I can't remember what the title screens, but it was like prerequisites. Here's what you're going to need to know to hire me for this job. Like
I had everything nicely out. Prerequisites. I made sure to have my S9 right there on the table. Had a nice big steak, so I had energy, everything I needed to book by an Austrian. Like I was good to go. I even matched the font. I was that detailed on it.
You did. I really noticed that. So the long and the short of it is I've been a one-man show for 8 years. I started just this year adding some people in the background, but also I need some help with content because one of the questions I commonly got asked early on was, well, you're doing Bitcoin tutorials, aren't you going to run out of shit to cover? And the exact opposite has happened. My list of stuff to cover and try and teach people about is growing at a pace that far exceeds my ability to cover it. And so I've asked Nathan to join in the on-screen talent for BTC sessions, and he will be learning the ropes in the coming months. You'll start to see him here and there on the shows, and eventually he'll also be educating through tutorials, doing some of his own content, and doing a mix of co-hosting or standing in if I'm out of town or whatever. So take a snapshot of that face. You're gonna see a little bit more of it soon, but very happy to have him. So Nathan, thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir. It's unbelievably exciting to do it, and I'm so happy to continue doing more and more in the Bitcoin space. And I am really looking forward to it. So
it's gonna be a good time. You've even won the approval of somebody named Skeptical says Nathan looks adorable. So
I appreciate that.
So Sessions has his own Opti now.
I suppose so.
Somebody let the guy take a vacation for once.
Yeah. First time in 8 years. So we'll see. But yeah, so gentlemen, this is a hell of a week. We're going to dive into it. We're going to get bullish. Anybody watching that's unfamiliar, of course, we're all bullish for various reasons, and that's the format of the show. Each of us has something in particular or some angle of why we're bullish. And so the flow of the show, very simple. Somebody's going to drop a reason why they're bullish. That's their chance to rant and get off their chest whatever they're excited about. Number two, altogether, we're going to riff on that reason, comments, questions, whatever rabbit holes we go down. And then number three, we're going to rotate to the next person until we've all had a turn. So nice and easy, reason, riff, rotate. And so I'm going to kick us off here really quick. I am obviously very bullish. This week has been insane. What started as a oh, there's somebody, there's third-party candidates talking about Bitcoin. There's kind of lower tier politicians that are starting to pay attention that may be favorable and be helpful, turned into, holy crap, like somebody that was previously the president of the United States and is running again could be in the White House and be favorable and friendly to Bitcoin, turned into, we have our first outwardly Bitcoin friendly and like actually like like fully partaking in the ecosystem, this president that is getting inaugurated in January. And that's wild. And so why I'm bullish, and I'm always cautious in and around politicians, of course. You have to be, politicians can say things and maybe not come through, and there's a lot of stuff around that. But more than that, politicians are transient. There's always going to be new people that come through office, and so it's a temporary thing. But the way that I'm looking at this is, for all intents and purposes, we have managed to buy ourselves 4 years to build and make ourselves more resilient. Because at some point, it's very possible, if not likely, that there's going to be, once again, an antagonistic person in office that may want to take away some of the things that we gained over these 4 years. And so the way I'm looking at this is we cannot squander this time. And again, it's going to come off as dreary, but I don't mean it that way, because I think that this time that we've gotten, it's a gift, but we really cannot squander it. We can't be complacent. We're not out of the woods yet. We need to be in a place where we build things that are robust enough that you can't fuck with it. And so I think that we bought some time to build, learn, and educate. And so some of the realms that I think are very important is, number one, we want people to be educated in and around the best practices, but also why Bitcoin? Why specifically Bitcoin? Because you better believe that there's going to be a shitcoin extravaganza over the next 4 years, right? Like it's going to make the ICO bubble look like, I don't know. It's going to look like a raffle at the fair compared to like, it's gonna blow stuff out of the water. There's going to be a lot of degenerate, when you have, sitting presidents and their family and everything that are making tokens and doing NFTs and stuff, that's going to legitimize it to a point. And so we have to help people understand that those things are very, very different from Bitcoin. And I think like a lot of Bitcoiners have been doing a pretty good job of trying to point people down the right paths as this shapes up, but it's got our work cut out for us for sure. In terms of things to build and try and make sure that people get their heads around, making sure that people do best practices and take self-custody, because this is the lesson that never seems to be learned, because there's always new people coming into the space, and people always think that the space has matured, and because an exchange is bigger than all the other ones before it, it must be more secure and more mature, and that's never the case. So we need to be advising people how to actually secure things themselves and what the tools are, what's available. Beyond that, I think that there's a bunch of things that are going the right direction that I think we just really need to hunker down. And if we ourselves can't build them, we can at least learn about them and teach others about them and help people get down that path. But easy self-custody and security. And for those of our family members that maybe are not super technical, like the family members of ours that maybe just don't even have a cell phone, then we can Uncle Jim them, right? Like we can step in and be helpful in that sense rather than pushing them to, like the next FTX. So there's that. I'm seeing very positive things about scaling and keeping Bitcoin accessible to the masses. Obviously, Lightning has come leaps and bounds even since the last bull run. But since I first tinkered with it in 2018, it's a whole different ballgame. It's so much more accessible now. And I'm not talking about just like custodial option. I'm talking about like you can run your own stuff on a mobile phone and pretty easily actually full self-custody with Lightning. There's also interesting things like Fetty and Liquid and Cashew and new things like Arc and state chains. And so there's a lot going on trying to keep Bitcoin accessible to the masses, some with trade-offs. So we need to be cognizant of that, but at least allowing people to access Bitcoin in a way where hopefully you mitigate those risks and you can still save in on chain and things like that for the time being, and so on and so forth. And then the other big one is privacy. And so this has been majorly under attack this year. The previous administration is just going all out. We've got devs being arrested and tried, and it's not been great. But with that, we've also seen kind of Bitcoin move from its Napster moment where you can point and say shut it down to like a whack-a-mole kind of BitTorrent style thing where it's like, hey, there's a new CoinJoin coordinator, and hey, somebody forked Samurai Wallet and booted it up again. Like there's all these different things are happening, and they're doing it in a more conscientious, anonymous way. So it's really hard to say stop it. Well, who are you talking to? So that is making me very, very excited. And the last thing that I'll say is all these tools are great, but if you don't have a way to use your Bitcoin in the face of top-down pressures, then you're kind of screwed. And so being able to peer-to-peer exchange to local currency is very, very important, finding roads to do that, but also local circular economies. And this is something that I've been very excited about in building in my city, well, mine and Nathan's city of Calgary. We're doing the SAT market. And so we do this a couple times a year, and we get together all the Bitcoiners in the area, and there's farmers and tradesmen and artists and all kinds of different people offering different things. And you can go to the market and you can get your beef and your dairy, and you can also get a haircut and hire a personal trainer and get your roof done, and get the Bitcoin plumber to come over when your kid shoves something down the toilet. So there's like, we're building this out where it's really hard to shut that down. It's really difficult for somebody to come and say, you're not allowed to do that when you just know the people. And who's to say that I did or did not exchange sats for somebody to come over and tell me to keep my form really well on my bench press, right? So, these are the things that I think we need to focus on. We need to build out, but I'm bullish because we now have time to do this, and I'm confident that Bitcoiners and people in the space are not going to let this time be wasted. The builders are building, the educators are educating, and the newcomers are in good hands. So that's why I'm bullish. So, gentlemen, wherever you want to dive in there, whatever threads you want to tug on, have at her.
Go for it, guys. Somebody jump in.
Man, that was an awful lot there.
Yeah, sorry. I kind of got ransom.
I sort of been taking notes because, like, I mean, my mind starts going at every single point you said, right? But like, so let's go all the way maybe back to the beginning one, maybe because that's the only one I remember. No, but like, it's not a matter of if, right, but when. And we say that about Bitcoin adoption, but that's also the case about another politician or government coming to attack, right? So it's felt really challenging for a while because of, you've got the crypto army, you've got negative stuff out of the administration in the US. You've got, Europe is ridiculous. You guys are in Canada. We had the whole truckers thing, it's like, it's been one thing after another, right? One thing after another. So it's, but I got bit by the bug, man, I guess I got into it kind of maybe early 2022, right? So I'm still kind of fresh to this, right? Or maybe late 21 actually is probably a little bit better. But like watching it, having to stay with it and work during that bear market as it goes down, still believing in Bitcoin, still understanding now that you know the fundamentals, still dedicated to it. All I thought that entire time was I got to keep stacking, right? Like I got to keep building. I got to keep bringing value to something somewhere and just move as much of that. What I need those sats stack every day, right? And it was odd, even coming out of it where we are now, I still feel like, man, I just didn't do enough. I didn't stack enough, right? I didn't build enough. I didn't do this. And something that drew me to this and originally was the hardware and the building side of it, right? Like I came in through the mining industry. So it's all about hardware. It's all about proof of work. It's all about energy. And it's that energy. And people don't realize that a lot of the things that you talk about, right? Knowledge, an understanding of where we're at in this world, information, all of that is plentiful and bountiful. And we just have a distribution problem, right? So you have people putting gates on these things, energy, information, freedom of speech, ideas, thoughts. It's felt like it's just been nonstop blockade after blockade after blockade, right? So what I am so bullish about and so excited about is that all of this building that Bitcoiners have been doing, all of this stacking, right? Eventually all that hard work leads to something big, something great, something positive. And yeah, you're exactly right. It seemed like, if you go by Bitcoin Twitter, it feels like it kind of crunched down, but you had this core group of people during the bear market that you just leaned on and you grew closer as a community. Your first Sats market, Ben, was like a year ago-ish.
It would have been, Christmas of 2023.
Yeah. And I think that's right when I kind of started discovering your videos and saw that tweet. And I was like, this is something I can get behind, right? Like we feel so shut down and controlled, and this is our way of taking it back. And so what I'm so bullish about right now is it feels like the world has had enough, not just in Bitcoin, but in everything, all of the cutoffs, all of the gates, everything. And we're taking it back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're saying, no, the money's mine, my value and my energy and my time is mine. I'm taking it back with Bitcoin. The food is mine. I have to eat it. I have to live it. I have to feed my family with it. Nutrition is important. We're going to take it back, right?
Yes.
I want my freedom of speech. It's very important to me. Code is speech. You can't, shut us down. I should be able to make some, between Ross and Samurai and, all that stuff. It's like, okay, sure. Everything has to be figured out, right? Everything has to find its way, but you can't just arbitrarily shut me down and say no. So, and that is very prolific in the Bitcoin community. But what's so bullish right now is that it feels like the rest of the world is starting to re-embrace and bring back, whether you want to call it a turning or whatever else, right? They're starting to embrace that, bring it back, taking more responsibility, accountability, and willing to put in the work and say, listen, I let somebody else do the work for me for so long. And I looked up and didn't recognize where I was, didn't recognize my life, who I was, what I was doing. I didn't like it. And so that's how I felt when I first really started studying and discovered Bitcoin, and it made my life better and my outlook better. Now it feels like it's not just, and when you're doing that in a small group, you're encouraged, but you're like, man, we're so alone. It's like the memes online. It's like we're at the party, everybody's dancing, and we're the Bitcoiner in the corner going like, they don't know what's or whatever. Yeah. It's like, but now it feels like that circle's getting bigger, and it's a positive thing for many directions. Obviously, there, it's encouraging as well. But even just that, even though we don't want to say it all the time, just that little bit of, I told you so, that confidence that it gives us. It's like, man, the decisions I was making and all that hard work I was putting in and all the, good morning tweets, build on Bitcoin today, GFY, Orange Heart, all that stuff, right? It's like, it's finally starting. It feels like it's starting to pay off. And some of those people, I understand getting frustrated, that the normies are coming out and people are, it's like, oh, well, meme coin. It's like, oh, what should I buy? Whatever. But at the same time, I'm like, finally, that conversation line is open with the people, our friends and our family around us, that we can have that open conversation about and explain to them, right? So you have people coming for education. You have people waking up and ready to go, people willing to take accountability and put in the work. You have people like you guys that are, putting together education, make it easier for these people to pick this stuff up. And all of those things come together, just everything starts to feel like it's working. And so all of that, the time you felt like you were building, right, for nothing, all of a sudden it starts to make sense. And between Argentina, cool things happening in Europe, right? And it's time for Canada, by the way. We got 4 years. It's time for Canada. So all of these things, if we can push in the US and we can continue to push back against that stuff, then it's just going to spread. And that's what I'm so excited about, because that's when really amazing things happen, huge leaps in mankind happen, in innovations, everything. So
yeah, 100%. Aladdan, I'm curious to get your thoughts as well. Like, do you think that we've got it in us to make the most out of these next 4 years? And what do you think we should be focusing on? Like, what are your thoughts here?
So what I've seen in my lifetime is how pop culture really controls so much of where humanity goes. And at the end of the day, it's marketing, right? It's propaganda. And they put out enough propaganda and they get you to wear a mask when you're driving in a car or jogging. This propaganda is massive, and man, does it work. So there's good propaganda.
Grandmother's place. You're wearing it in your car by yourself.
Yes.
The trail of grandmothers in your exhaust is just
exactly
horrendous.
There's good propaganda and there's bad propaganda, and it all just comes down to marketing and who can market the best. And what does Bitcoin need, in my opinion? Living and breathing this solidly the last 4 years, but I've been around since 2016, and I've seen one of the biggest hurdles we have as a community, as Bitcoiners trying to really get this adoption to take place, is marketing at the end of the day. And as Bitcoiners, we're based, and we don't want to have to accept that we're going to have to jump into that. Well, I'm really bullish on what you were talking about, this new administration. I mean, for whatever you want to say about Trump, the guy can market. He's got a hell of a voice. Yeah. And he is now going to be the next president of the United States. And as long as he sticks to even 20% of his word, he's going to be marketing the shit out of Bitcoin. That is going to start to click into people's minds, and any publicity is good publicity, whether people like that or not. So the more that people talk about it, whether it's the communist news networks or whatever, it ends up coming out, they're going to be talking about Bitcoin, and this is going to start to get in more and more people's minds. So I think Caitlin Long, CJ Wilson, a lot of these guys that were pushing this thing for years, what they're showing with the success that we just had is there's an amazing opportunity for people that want to get out there and help on this marketing bandwagon, get involved, and really start to push this adoption, not just in the United States, but in countries all over the world. So mad props to all the people that have been pushing, boots on the ground, doing this. Samson Mao. I mean, we've got an amazing group of people. And the coolest thing about what they've done is they're giving inspiration to new people that can jump out and start doing the same thing and push it further. So marketing, I think this is going to be the biggest marketing push that Bitcoin will ever have. And like you said, it's 4 years. Who the hell knows what can happen? Anything can happen in 4 years. Everybody take advantage of this and talk to as many people as you can. We are all the marketing team for Bitcoin. And once everyone accepts that, it's on.
exactly what my next thing was going to be. Just as we are all Satoshi, except Craig Brett, we are all the Bitcoin marketing team. Absolutely. Well said.
Can I ask Aladdan something real quick? I want to ask, someone said something to me the other day that just blew me away. A very simple statement. They said Bitcoin is the only innovation really in most of history that self-finances. Right. I want you to kind of think about that, right? Like, so many of you people in Bitcoin that are, they're in Bitcoin, but they're producing maybe some, like the education side, the cards that you're doing, right? The trading cards, the knowledge, right? They're just people that found Bitcoin. It changed their life. And now they finally have a means to pursue whatever it is they're passionate about. Do you find that statement to be true? Especially, I'm curious about your personal experience.
Yeah, I read Shamri's book to my daughter every night, and one of the things I love about it the most is how he compares the wheel to Bitcoin, and how we don't know who invented Bitcoin, and we don't know who invented the wheel. And the wheel's self-funded. It's something that anyone can build on, anyone can create with, just like Bitcoin. And I don't think there's much of anything else in the entire world like that anyone has the opportunity to put your thinking cap on, get creative, and work inside this space. So yeah, Bitcoin self-funding itself is the most remarkable part about all of this, because it does the most important thing that humanity needs right now, and that's personal responsibility. It puts that personal responsibility back in every human being's hands. That is the biggest, most important thing we can do. You want to teach your kids anything amazing? Teach them personal responsibility, and they will fly in life. They can be rocket scientists that don't know personal responsibility. And at the end of the day, I'll say it about my own kids. If they were rocket scientists and they didn't understand that, they'd be DBs. Sorry.
Awesome. Nathan, I'm going to toss it to you. What? Brain dump. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. So you're absolutely right. We got 4 years, and we have to make the most of it. And the thing that I was thinking about is, like, guys, realistically, like, we're 76.4 right now. We got a president-elect talking about Bitcoin. Ross freedom is on the horizon. We're fucking winning right now, but don't let that complacency, like, don't let that victory make us weak. We got to keep going, keep pushing, make the most of the time that we have here. And, I was having conversations with Dante Cook and Sally this week, and they both kind of hit on the same thing of, like, you've got to be the one to do it, and everybody has something to contribute. So don't think for 1 second, just because you can't write code, you can't audit code, because you can't maybe do the technical education at this point in time, that you don't have a role to play and you don't have something to contribute to Bitcoin. No matter what you do, if you're part of this team, if you're part of this network, you've got something that you can offer, whether it's just be showing your buddy and really encouraging him, like, hey, a hot wallet is better than an exchange. Let's just get that off of fucking Coinbase, right? Let's just pull that back towards us. Maybe you got a neighbor who needs help painting the garage. You'd be like, yeah, I'll do it for a couple sats, right? We all have skills, services, products, chairs in our house that we don't need. We got stuff that we can sell for sats. We got services that we can sell for sats. And every time one person does that, it brings up the entire value of the network, because now we have more marketable goods that are being compared to this item. We have more things that can trade for Bitcoin, just like the sats market we've got here. So my main takeaway is, like, yes, we got them on the ropes. Things are looking good for us. Do not let this moment make you compliant. Do not sit back. Go harder. Foot down for the throat. Like, we are a hydra, and there's a million different avenues that we can attack this from. And every single person's got at least something tangible, experience, skills. They got something that they can trade or add to Bitcoin. And it's on all of us to do that. Because even if they don't accept it, even to say, no, I'm not going to pay you sats to mow my lawn, you've added that idea. You've shown that there are people that are willing to accept it, and you've strengthened the network. So that's what I think on it. Like, we've got the momentum. Let's just keep going at every possible avenue.
Yeah. As soon as you let up, you're going to lose ground. And so, again, the general message is be excited, but be driven. Yes. Yeah. And I'm going to give one final shill before we do a rotation here. But in and around the SAT market. So there's unbeknownst to the people in the YouTube chat, the Nostr chat on zap.stream is also going here. And of course, if you're on Nostr, then I encourage you to go and follow the page for the SAT market over on Nostr. So you can find it at BTC SAT market at getalby.com. That's the NIPO 5. But if you have your phone handy and you want to just scan, there is the profile for it, the NPub. You can just scan that and follow on Nostr. If you are not on Nostr yet, then what are you doing? But in the meantime, you can follow on X. There's a Twitter handle that is at BTC SAT market. And you'll find the same info there. But we're going to be updated on that. Even if you're not in Calgary, even if you can't make it to Calgary for the SAT market, I encourage you to follow and kind of see what we're up to, especially over the next year. We really want to build it out. And I think we're planning on making a bit of a blueprint for other people, especially people that are in cities, because it can be a little tricky. It can be a little tricky in implementing in a city, trying to get a circular market going, because oftentimes these cities are so big that you may have a lot of Bitcoiners in and around the city, but like you're so far apart and it's difficult to kind of know who's where and like drive across and see people and find their businesses and everything. And so I think we're on the right path to build out. It's like a citadel within a city. Like we've got a Bitcoin citadel that is invisible to the naked eye, but it exists because we have a community and we have our social connections and our social graph there in front of us, and we can reach out to each other and support each other locally. Whereas the fiat people don't know what's up yet. And so we're educating them too, but come join us. But with that, we're going to do a rotation. I'll put a bow on this topic. Thank you, gentlemen, for indulging me in my long-winded rant. So we're going to do a quick rotation. Before we do that, I'm just going to give a momentary shout out to one of our other show sponsors, and then we will be right back in. And David, I'm coming to you next. So we'll be up to David in about 30 seconds here. So we'll see you guys in just a second. Keeper is a fully open source Bitcoin app created to help you stack sats long term. Easily use your hardware devices or assisted keys to create multisig wallets and plan your inheritance. Head over to bitcoinkeeper.app to download the app and use code btcsessions30 to get a 30% discount on your first subscription. All right, we are back in. David, I'm tossing it to you. Same question everybody gets. Why are you bullish?
Why am I bullish? I'm bullish because we're in a bull run and we're not. Like, if you have been, if you're committed and you've been dollar cost averaging, you've been whatever, it's like, you should be way up, right? I love what is it, Wicked Smart Bitcoin, right, on Twitter, and all the animations he does and stuff like that. And he does this great one where he's talking about DCA and like where it's at, and he's like, no matter if we hit a point not too long ago, maybe even a month and a half ago, before the new all-time high, and he was like, anybody who's been DCAing in Bitcoin under any circumstance at all is positive right now, right? So even if you came in at the top, right? If you've been DCAing, we bounced low enough, long enough that we're there now. And so and being in the mining side, I'm about infrastructure, energy costs. I check hash rate, I check miner prices, energy costs, infrastructure, all this stuff. And there's this drag right now, right? But it starts out where people they kind of got over leveraged and they weren't very smart when things went crazy, right? Which also, keep your head, okay? If you're new, keep your head, right? Be careful because it's about to get exciting and fun. But watching this stuff, there's been this drag, and it's like the prices come down and down and down and down and down. And then the bear market was actually my favorite time because it was easy to build, right? There was plenty of resources out there. You were looking for people, people were easy to find. They were needing projects to work on, right? The hash rate, super bullish on the hash rate. If you go to like Luxor.tech, right? Or BitBo, right? And take a look at the hash rate. You can see it. Yeah, it did trickle down a little bit, but we have been building like crazy in the bear market, right? When Bitcoin was just up to maybe 35, 40, right? Our hash rate wasn't going down anymore. Like it was already building, and we're at about, I don't know I haven't checked today, but I mean, we're close to 800, exahash on the network when 2 years ago we were at like maybe 4.5, right? And that's with Bitcoin price down. So what that tells me is more and more people are becoming Bitcoiners. Hardware, energy, technicians, right? People that work with their hands are starting to understand Bitcoin and starting to realize what it's about. And they're starting to see that, whoa, this is a way for me to take my energy and my time back, right? They're starting to learn about fiat currency and the debasement, right? They're starting to put these puzzle pieces together. And so watching it as the hash rate grow faster for a while than the Bitcoin price was coming up, just tells me there is a huge movement globally that is just, people are just, they're betting on it, right? They're realizing what I realized when I was orange pilled, that if I'm saving in dollars, there's 100% chance that my ability to purchase and take things and take care of my family and pay for food and bills goes down over time. Like if I have $1,000 in the bank, it's only going to buy $900 next year, minimum. It might be worse. If there's even a 1% chance that Bitcoin is truly scarce and going to increase in value, then that's better odds, right? I'm not moving negative. And so people starting to realize that, people putting their money on the line in hardware, in big giant sites, millions of dollars a megawatt to put this thing together, right? And also you can bring somebody in who's never even heard of Bitcoin, and it gives them something tangible to look at and say, wow, people are putting this into this network. This has got to cost a lot. And it does. It's showing that proof of energy and that proof of work, right? So the fact that was already running, and now we're seeing the Bitcoin price kind of catch up to where I think it is. And then also watching the hash rate continue to rise as we bounced. I mean, God bless 58K gang, right? But it's like all this sidewalk, this crab walking was just, it felt brutal for a while. It was like, it doesn't matter how long you've been in it. Sometimes you're like, oh, maybe this is it. Maybe we're just not ever leaving 58K. It's just going to be between 60 and 58K forever, right? So
58K gang is listening to this right now, and they're like, yes.
They're so happy.
Yeah.
I know. So to see it move even a little bit out, right? And start to move at the same speed as these people that are out there building, putting together sites and developing sites and innovating, making new ways to cool, immersion cooling, hydro cooling, at the chip technology, hybrid data centers that do AI. And then when they're not, processing on AI, when they're not actually, have a load on their AI servers, they're actually mining Bitcoin. It's like back and forth. Things are about to pop, and you can only, I guess it's the fact that this has to do with, is connected so closely to energy, makes me realize that not only is there something big coming in Bitcoin, but energy as a whole, as itself, is about to change dramatically. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what it is, but it's something major is going to happen, because when these big energy companies start to take notice, again, this is kind of a concern, same way along the government side, right? But we have been pushing and building, we're finally in a position now to have a say in how Bitcoin gets pushed, how it gets driven, how this industry gets built. And it's about to move out of the garages, right, and into commonplace household name. Everybody, there will be no coiners. Everybody will have some amount of Bitcoin, and all of those big, large energy companies, something major is about to change, about to shift, and you guys are going to have your hands full. You're going to have way too many people to educate, way too many people.
I want to echo, and I think in and around the energy part, I think one of the most exciting things is that as you come into Bitcoin and you start examining it, you're actually, if you get far enough down the rabbit hole, you're kind of forced to begin to understand energy better, right? Yeah. Like you can't, when people start asking like, well, what are these people are just burning electricity and, boiling the oceans. And when you start to be like, okay, well, I think there's value in Bitcoin, but like, why does it need all this energy? Like, why can't we just do proof of stake? Like there's a learning trajectory there.
Let me give you an illustration. I'd love for you guys to use if it's helpful, right? Let's say a common form of energy, which we all are familiar with, is gasoline, right? So, or if you're in the UK, it's petrol. But we're taking our gas, and let's say I need to take an Uber from one location to another, and it would take 1 gallon of that gas. The absolute purest way for me to pay that driver would be for me to carry around 1.1 or 1.2 gallons of gasoline, hand it to him. That way he measures and knows I just spent 1 gallon of gas. I've got 1.2 gallons now. I made a profit today, right? The problem is with the existing money system, there's no transparency there, right? There's no transparency. So by the time you get from one place to the other, depending on the amount of time and what you use to pay for it, you may not be making a profit, right? Bitcoin takes energy in a raw form and immediately turns it into a store of value. Now, whether you want to say it's a medium of exchange for, obviously it is, right? But people have their opinions, but it is the only way right now that we have to take raw energy, turn it into electrons, and immediately turn those electrons into a store of value. It's the only way. There is no other way. Even other data centers are taking that energy, turning it into electrons, and then putting it on, and then using it to provide other services for which then those services are paid for in fiat, right? Bitcoin is the only way you can take that, or it's the fastest way to immediately transfer energy into a store of value that can be used as a medium of exchange, that can be stored over time, that can increase in value because of its scarcity. Everything else out there that attempts to do that is inefficient and can be debased through inflation, right? So that tie to energy, once you start to realize that, you start to think, oh, well, what about my energy, right? I mean, you get up in the morning, you walk into the kitchen and make your coffee. That's energy, right? So you have to replenish your energy with something. The currency of the universe is energy. We're using it all the time. So when if you're given money for your energy and your time, and then it's debased, they're not just stealing from you. They are stealing your time and your energy. They're stealing years away from your life every year, right? And as it accelerates, it gets worse and worse. It starts out, I need to work 2 months a year to be able to pay my taxes. Next thing you know, 10 years later, it's 4 months a year for all my taxes. Then it's 8 months a year, right? You start to see that, you realize it's not just about energy and money. It's about my time, my energy, and what I want to do with my life. They're stealing your life. So understanding energy and making that connection, right, and starting to delve into that completely changes everything, not just your money, not just your finances, but everything about your life and how you view relationships, time spent, goals, hopes, dreams, all of it. It all changes.
And to even further tag on to that, you know, where you're talking about, oh, I'm having my energy and my time stolen through, okay, well, I got to work X number of months to pay my taxes this year. If you save anything after that, it's not like, okay, now you get to keep the rest. No, they're gradually going to steal from that pot as well. Yep. Right? Because the hidden tax, the hidden tax is the inflation that nobody understands. So yeah, you work all year, you work X number of months for free for the government, and then if you manage to save anything after covering your expenses, and you have two choices. Well, now you have three. But before you had two. One was gamble, and two was put it in a bank account and then have that value stolen year after year after year until it's worth nothing.
There was another one which success up to this point, at least in the U.S. in U.S. history, especially, right? You could sort in hard assets, you could buy real estate with it, things like that, right? But when you really look at it, and I think the first time I saw the illustration was Preston Pish, right? But a lot of people have done it now. Pompliano did it on live TV not too long ago, right? Like on Fox News or Business, when it talks about valuing a home in Bitcoin. So 2000, or 4 years ago, right? It was like 600 Bitcoin or whatever it was to take. And then, it's like you do this and you're like, so wait a minute. It cost me 8 years ago, 600 Bitcoin to buy a house. This year, it only cost me 6, right? If you're on the Bitcoin standard and you're on a money that cannot be debased, you realize that that's two things you need to realize from that. One, your life gets less expensive, right, as it goes forward. It gets less expensive. That's one. The second one is you also realize my house is not actually going up in value. My assets are not going up in value. The measuring stick, the ruler I'm using, is getting longer. So there is your house does not make you money. It doesn't increase in value. It stays the same. What changes is the amount of dollars used to measure it. That is a mind-blowing, completely backwards way most civilizations, most people anywhere ever have thought. So it's going to take a while for people to understand that and get a grip on it and realize if I have this limited, it's a double-edged sword. We want prices of like food and things like that to go down, but we want the value of our home to go up. You can't have it both ways, right? The price of everything goes up or the price of everything goes down. There is you can't pick and choose.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, Aladdan or Nathan, if you guys want to jump in here, thoughts?
Yeah, I'll jump in for a second on that too. So it's really interesting you bring in forth the bullish on energy side of things, because I'm completely with you. It's funny. I was having a nice conversation today, and I asked TC this on Twitter. Which, by the way, I don't just talk to these people all the time. I'm very fortunate. I get to host these spaces Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so I get to talk to cool people and ask them stuff and learn from them. And I directly asked them. I said, we're currently sitting at 734.9 exahashes. Do you think we're going to a zettahash? Do you think we're going to get to the next step? And without a doubt, he was just completely, unequivocally, it's going to happen. And I'm largely kind of in the same place because we're getting more efficiency out of the chips. But the one thing recently specific to energy that I'm really curious to see how it evolves in the coming years is nuclear, specifically nuclear. And the reason being is that I think the public sentiment around nuclear, the public consensus on it, is really shifting. Where we're getting both sides are saying okay, if you want more energy, which is the side that I am on, this is a great idea. If you're concerned about carbon for whatever reason, then this still fulfills that for you as well too. And of course, energy is directly tied to human prosperity. But the need for cheaper, consistent energy is pushing a lot of these big companies into the space as well too. And what I'm reminded of is the 3 Mile Island getting restarted by Microsoft. Is we got a major company in here looking at tapping into nuclear energy, which I think basically gives the pass for anybody else now to enter the space. You can't have that happen and say well, it's okay for them to do it, but the plebs can't have it. I don't think it'll be tenable. And so as we have more and more potentially nuclear coming online, having more and more energy available, again, they're going to want that buyer of last resort. the initial consumption to tap into. And so I'm right there with you. I think human prosperity is going up. I think energy is going to go up. And I think that Bitcoin mining hashing is going to absolutely skyrocket as they need somebody to buy the excess while the rest of the infrastructure and demand is coming online. That Aladdan, I'm curious your thoughts on it.
I mean, I'm a lot simpler than you guys, so that's kind of on my thought. We have so much brilliance in Bitcoin, in the space. You guys are a perfect example of that, and I see it every day. And just watching all the shows, the podcasts, the spaces, it's this amazing network effect that's happening right now. I think it's the game theory that Satoshi, whether he meant to make it happen or not, Bitcoin is absorbing the smartest people on earth that appreciate decentralization. Holy shit. How flippin' cool is that? So to like everything you guys have been talking about, I mean, it's only going to build, and it's going to be a battle between good and evil, like everything. But man, this is absorbing people that appreciate decentralization. That is going to put so much good on our side for what you all are building. So I'm right there with you, just massively bullish on the potential of what all you brilliant people are putting together on that end for people like me that are not the most technical, but I have more of the philosophical side of it that I can look at. And I'm bullish on you guys, on all these brilliant people that are building in Bitcoin and doing the work that most of us would only dream of being intelligent enough, at least myself, I'll speak for myself, to be able to get onto. Maybe I need to come out and visit you one of these days, David, and firsthand see exactly what's going on and get a really
miners. Huh? Let's rack some miners. We'll do it.
Love it.
Before we put a bow on this topic, I want to show something that will further back David's claim that people are beginning to realize, like the difference between the energy expended and the perceived gains of either sitting in real estate or in stocks or whatever, that the value is not necessarily actually going up, but you're just seeing that you're standing still, and it's the ruler that's changing. And this is a clip of I think the founder perhaps of Sotheby's. They are the premier destination for auctions for private sales of like contemporary modern art, like it's like hundreds of millions of dollar valued paintings, all that. And it's him talking about his journey down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. It's super interesting. It's like a minute and a half, 2 minute clip.
It's the S&P clip, Ben. He talks about
yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's great. It's awesome.
Good.
Okay, so I'm gonna press play. As soon as you start hearing audio, just give me a thumbs up so I know that it's working correctly. So one sec here.
I can sell you a $20 million painting, but I can't tell you why a piece of code is money. That's an interesting paradox. So that was the journey. And so I dove deep and began to question what is money exactly? I thought it was currency. I was wrong. And then what creates value? Why do things have value? What is it about us that ascribes value to things? And then I literally went down a rabbit hole. And it's actually not too far off what Michael Saylor or some of these people talk about, do 100 to 1,000 hours on it, and you really dive into podcasts and dive into the books and ask yourself, go on an intellectual journey about what does all this stuff mean and why is it important? And then there's startling insights that I have now at age 59 that I didn't have at age 57 that came from this journey. You want an example? I didn't realize that if the average year the money printer goes, call it 8 to 10%, even in the Western countries, even in the OECD nations, and the average return on the S&P 500 is, call it 9-ish%, including dividends, maybe 9.7, maybe a little less, that it means that all of the work of the S&P 500 all of the value created there is actually the money printer. That to me was startling. I mean, to think about that, the fundamental notion that in a closed system or even an open system, when you're printing money at the rate of 8 to 10% a year, everything is losing value, and the things that appear to be gaining value are not gaining value. They're just keeping you even. So you can put all your money in the S&P 500 and you're not gaining any relative wealth at all.
It's just beautiful.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
So good. So good. I mean, like a nice, concise 2-minute summary of, like, again, like so few people even think, like, if you print money, what have you actually done? If there's only so many goods and services that exist and you print more money, is there more of that stuff to go around? Absolutely not. So what have you actually done? You've reallocated the access to the existing goods and services.
You just defined the reason Keynesian economics does not work.
Yeah.
That what you said right there, that little point is why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just so beautifully just touches on it too. Just start thinking about what actually is value. Where is this value coming from? And so many people have this concept. Like, I've always hated the term like intrinsic value. I hate it. I absolutely hate it, because you're just talking about like a consistent, reliable demand, because value is completely a human construct into the individual level, right? But if you live in this kind of Keynesian setup, or if you think it's like, it's almost like the chemical makeup or its weight or its mass, if you think it's a property of something, it'll skew your entire perception.
Peter Schiff.
Yeah, thank you.
Peter Schiff.
Right?
We need it for electronics and jewelry, guys. Come on.
God.
That's the thing. You're right. I mean, but then if it's like, well, but if I'm like, well, I hate my cell phone, I'm going to go live in the woods, right? There's no intrinsic value to that cell phone anymore, right? Unless I just
100%.
wanted an emergency stopgap or what, so it's like, but if I personally am like, I'm just going to go do this, there's no intrinsic value. Value is 100% up to the individual at that any given time. I don't need any cash if I'm starving to death, right?
Yes, that painting example is like a perfect analogy, one that I'd never really thought of before. But particularly for someone like me, unfortunately, I don't have taste in fine art. So a $20 million painting makes no sense to me unless I'm going to be exchanging it for 20 million worth of Bitcoin. I have no reason to want that item. But in his world, they do, right?
Well,
and so being able to commute that.
Yeah, hold on though. I mean, this is what's so important. As a Bitcoiner, I get to have more control over my value. So like, for example, what you're saying is, right, because I actually got my degree in art, of all things, three-dimensional design. I learned how to do sculpture and stuff like that. I'm very bullish on Bitcoiners producing art, right? That mindset lends itself to creativity, which is why we've got Aladdan here, right? It's like all of that creativity. And so I see these things and I'm like, and you see the amount of time. Well, I do, because I've been an artist and I'm really shit at it. But Aladdan, like, I know how much time he's had to put into creating these series, creating cards, getting them printed, getting them designed. We're talking about hard to count hours, right? It is a labor of love, especially in the beginning. And so, but if I see something like this, for example.
Yes. Nice. Madex.
Look at this, and I have a personal connection to these things, and it moves me on an emotional level.
Yeah.
I can decide to part sats and send it to some guy named Madex who, makes art that looks like he's 7. No, I'm just kidding. What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter if it's this or if it's food or if it's, I'm going to a shameless plug for wine from Ben Justman, right?
Nice.
It does, or anybody else at your Sats market. It doesn't matter what it is. You get to choose that value. The problem right now is too many people are telling us what we can and can't value. And Bitcoin gives you the power to decide that and take that back.
Beautiful.
And communicate it in the purest form as well, too. There is no other greater expression of what you value than what you'll trade your sats for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we're getting to that point. It was early on, people would give up sats for you know, anything with a Bitcoin B slathered on it. Now we have you're developing finer tastes because you have finer money.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a tall order to try and get Bitcoiners to part with their sats, and you've got to be a master of your craft.
My 18-year-old, here's proof, right? My 18-year-old will say, "Dad, can I have some money to go out with friends?" I'm like, "No. If you really want to do it that bad, sell your Bitcoin and Cash App." And he stops and he says, "Okay." It's like, "You've got your money, you know, whatever." It's like, "Okay." Well, he stops and he thinks about it, and you know, sometimes he says no. He's like, "No." But we were at Bitcoin 24 at the Bitcoin trading booth, Bitcoin trading card booth, right? And we saw we was looking through the packs, and he collects sports cards and stuff. And he said, well, Dad, you should buy this pack right there. You should get this pack, right? And I think I can't remember, is it the Satoshi pack, maybe Aladdan? I can't remember what it was. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll buy one if you buy one. And we're buying with sats. And he chose yes. We both ripped at the same time. I'm a miner in Texas. The only chase card I wanted was the ASIC miner. I got one in the pack. He got one in the pack. Of 256. They were from, like, I mean, the odds of them coming like close in a box, I know what those odds are, right? They're pretty rare, Aladdan. And so, but then we had this experience, right? And we have this memory now. That's priceless. I will gladly give my sats for stuff like that anytime, right? That's what Bitcoin gives you the power to do. You get to choose. And for something like a memory or an experience, ultimately, that's all we really have, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
Like a tattoo. You don't take your time and you just throw a random, oh yeah, that picture looks cool, I want that tattoo.
Yeah.
You regret it big time. But if you take your time and really think about it, and there's a meaning towards that art that you're getting ready to put on your body for the rest of your life, you're going to love it forever. There's something to taking that time in every decision and making sure that when you make that decision, it's something you really want and not just something you need to a point. And experiences with our children, that's definitely something we need. And that's the cool thing about spinning our sats, is we really think about those decisions. And usually it works out pretty good if we take our time to think about that purchase and we don't just ape out there in a shopping frenzy.
Who's it? Bitcoin Deb in the comments just said, I used to be a shopaholic, not anymore. Right?
Nice. Good job, Bitcoin Deb. She's often in the chat there. But I mean, this is how it changes you, right? You get to a point, and I almost think that, well, actually I don't think, I feel like I internally know that over time, Bitcoin allows you the frame of mind to delay gratification, and by delaying gratification, you can do much more and experience much more and figure out your values and decide where you would like to spend the fruits of your labor. And by the time you do come to those decisions, you often have a much more fruitful experience than you would have with the knee jerk, oh, I want to do this right now. And so like the constant trade-off is going to be that no matter what, anytime you spend your sats, you can be pretty much sure that if you jump forward a cycle, it's going to be more spending power. Yep. So then the question becomes, is the impact on your life for, in particular, large purchases, is this worth it in that period of time in exchange for knowing that those sats will always be worth more? And so like I've made some decisions over time that have largely impacted not just my life, but like my wife's life and our kids. And those, I look back and I'm like, I will never, ever, unfortunately, have the same amount of Bitcoin. But the change in life for my kids over that period of time and the domino effect for our lives moving forward was so great that I have no regrets about those decisions. And so it's okay to use your sats for things, but you need to be cognizant about what's the downstream effect. Am I buying trinkety bullshit knickknacks from IKEA? Or am I buying an oak table that will still be standing if my house burns to the ground? Yeah. Like those types of, like, this table will not move from its spot, and it will be bestowed to my family. My great grandchildren will host a Thanksgiving dinner on this thing. You know, like you start thinking more about, I'm buying stuff that's for me now, that's for my kids later, and for my great great grandchildren perhaps down the way. And so you start thinking much longer term, like people used to when they would start the building of some sort of a great monument that they would never see to completion. And I think we're in for that, because that's the time preference it gives us. Gentlemen, I don't want to keep on this topic for too long, because we need to keep rolling, because we've got much more to get through. So we're going to do a rotation here. We're going to give a quick 30-second shout out to one more sponsor here. And then Aladdan, I'm going to be going to you next. We're also going to give away some sats when we get back. So anybody watching, get your Lightning wallets ready, because whoever scans the QR first is going to claim those sats. So we'll be back in about 30 seconds. DEBIFI.com allows you to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Collateral is held in a 3 of 4 distributed multisig with trusted parties. It provides institutional liquidity providers, loan periods of up to 5 years with flexible conditions and the best rates. And best of all, no rehypothecation of your funds. If you want to check them out today, head over to debify.com or hit the link in the show notes down below. All right, so we're going to give some sats away real quick. We are pulling up, of course. Many of you watching from before, from past weeks, are be familiar. This is bitcoinwell.com, awesome place in Canada and the US to be stacking sats. The way it works is when you sign up, when you purchase Bitcoin, when you refer friends, you earn points. You can use those points to toss them, to toss a coin in the Bitcoin wishing well and win sats, anywhere from 500 sats to potentially 1 million sats. And so all you need is a Lightning wallet capable of LN URL withdrawal. So if you got a Lightning wallet handy, just pull it up and pull open your camera. Whoever scans it first will claim the sats. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to hit play now. I'm going to use 500 points to toss a coin in the well. Again, whoever scans it first will claim 500 sats. So congrats to whoever gets it first. Scan quick. It's probably already gone. If you do get the sats, let me know in the chat messages wherever you're watching the show, or in the comments. And congrats for that. And furthermore, if you want to earn more sats, I've got one other way that you can do it throughout this entire bull market, and that is through Bitcoin Mentor. And you can become an affiliate of Bitcoin Mentor. And so what is Bitcoin Mentor? We mentioned it earlier in the show, but Bitcoin Mentor is a place where we offer one-on-one private sessions for people to help them learn how to obtain, use, and secure Bitcoin, and do everything along their Bitcoin learning journey. So you can go to bitcoinmentor.io for that. But more importantly, a lot of you watching the show may already have a bunch of skills, but you are going to start having friends, family, and acquaintances ask you, what the hell do I do to get into Bitcoin? And you can funnel them our way. So there's a QR code on the screen right now. If you scan it, you can sign up to be an affiliate. And what happens then is you get your own personal link. You can share it with those people. And as soon as you do, if they book a session with us, you get $21. And that is perpetual moving forward. Every single session that they book, $21. And all of those get paid out at the end of each month. So you can stack sats while new Bitcoiners stack skills. And I can't think of a better way to be adding to your stack. So go ahead, scan that QR code. I'll throw it at the end of the show as well. But with that, we are going to jump back in. David, I know you're short on time, so whenever you need to hop out, just let me know. But we're just going to quickly jump to Aladdan next. And Aladdan, I'm going to cue you up. Why are you bullish?
All right. So I was showing my Maddox when I came back in. David got to show off his Maddox, so I wanted to show off mine. I'll show it one more time just in case you missed it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Beautiful.
And I've
Oh,
got it framed with his card too, which is like the coolest part.
Oh, that's awesome.
The matching artwork on the card too.
I'm not jealous at all. Not jealous at all. Nope.
that's
No.
pretty sweet. Can I
I'll have a Ben Sessions head sculpture one of these days with his card next to it.
I'm going to take the opportunity to shill as well. If we're all shilling our mate X here. Hold on.
Careful, get back there.
Yeah.
There we go.
Beautiful.
You know, there's a story behind the Rubik's Cube. Hey, is 2019? We're all in Riga for Baltic Honey Badger, and Bull Bitcoin rented this like underground cavernous restaurant, and it was where the people of Riga, where the politicians used to hide out and like plot what they were going to do and how they were going to govern the people. And so a bunch of like flash forward, however, like 600 years, and the place has been completely overrun by Bitcoiners with like a pig on a spit and a whole bunch of meat and everything. Wow. And the people that were like Saifedean and Adam Back and like all of these epic Bitcoiners, and in the corner there's Adam Back and Madex sitting beside each other, and he was just kind of like on his way up and starting to create stuff. But he sat beside Adam Back, and Adam Back, as Adam Back would, had a Rubik's Cube in his pocket that he just brought along with him. So there's Madex sitting beside Adam Back as he teaches him how to solve the Rubik's Cube. And so if you start to see this imagery in a lot of his stuff,
yeah,
it's a callback to that moment. And it's actually on the necklace that I also bought from Madex. You'll see the Rubik's Cube everywhere. So cool little story.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Aladdan, I'm stealing your thunder. You go ahead.
Experience, yeah.
It leads right into it. I'm bullish because of Canadian artists with long, luscious locks and really badass names.
I love it. Love it.
Well, I mean, beyond that point, because I am really bullish on that. Those Canadians, man, you got to give it to them. Hopefully you guys can pull off a big win like we did this week as well.
100% will.
We can go bullish with all of North America. Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now that I'm super fired up about this week, I couldn't be happier. I'm not a political person. The left-right paradigm is not something that I ever got in the middle of and don't ever want to. But there is something different to this election more than any other election that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And it's more about just people waking up and grasping the courage to stand against the propaganda and the social media that is literally mind warping these people. All of our people, my friends, my family, my loved ones, that have all just been plagued by massive, horrible propaganda. And the fact that we had the majority of the company come together, or a big enough part, but I mean, Trump even got the popular vote, which is amazing. It's huge. The awakening is happening, and it needs to happen more than ever because, man, we were on this really scary trajectory. I pulled my kids out of school years ago, before the 2020 craziness happened, and I homeschool my children because I live in California. It's dangerous. It's scary. It's really bad. And these are a lot of beautiful, amazing people that I know personally that I truly love that have just been brain warped on so many things for a long time now. And a lot of these people are starting to finally think for themselves. Critical thinking skills, make critical thinking skills great again. We have had an unprecedented week for Bitcoin, for the world. It's an effect that I hope starts to really just blend into as many places across the world as possible. We really need it for our children, for the future. We've got to make a change, and I am so bullish right now because this week we stepped out as a country and we made one hell of a change, and it had to be so strong that they couldn't deny it. And I was really hopeful, but at the same time, I'm like, man, this has got to be a tough lead in order for us to just take it. And listening to the people that have been against it the whole time have to accept that this is what happened and there's no denying it. That's a really, really good feeling. And another, we're on your show right now. The media, our own personal media teams, again, we are all the marketers for Bitcoin. We are all the marketers for our friends and family and everybody else. And independent media is taken off like crazy, and it's just completely destroying the mainstream media right now. And I'm so bullish about that because, again, if we want Bitcoin to take off and do what it's going to do, we need to take over the propaganda machine as much as possible. And we need to make those changes because these stupid phones that we are attached to 24/7, most of these phones will tell you how many hours a day that you've spent on your phone throughout the week. It's sick. And I do everything I can to not be attached to my phone. And I look at the hours that it says, and I can say, well, that's because I was watching a YouTube video, or I was stuck on the phone with my dad for hours, or whatever it was. It doesn't matter. I look at the hours and I'm like, holy shit, it's scary as hell. And that's someone who hates the phone. So I can only imagine where so many other people are with these devices. It is soaking up our every single day. So we have to fight fire with fire. And the fire they're giving us is a constant brain drain of propaganda. So we have to give it back, and we've got to put that positive reinforcement, the positive propaganda. All propaganda is marketing. That's the definition of propaganda. So we have to do our side of propaganda, and we're doing a good job right now. In order to make the change we made this week, we are on a successful trajectory. And to your point as well, we've got 4 years. This is time to be happy. It's time to be hopeful. But man, it's fucking time to grind. Every one of us grind, stand up and find something that you can do to participate in this amazing positive trajectory, and sky's the limit. And it's not just for us. It's for our children. It's for these next generations, because the other generations have let us down. It is our time. We can't just keep giving it to the next generation and saying, now it's your responsibility. No, it's our responsibility right now. We need to be the warriors, every one of us, man, woman, children, whatever you want to call yourself, stand up and put the goodness out. And I feel like this week we've got a really good shot ahead of us. So couldn't be more bullish, couldn't be more happy. Price of Bitcoin, all-time highs. That's amazing. The spiritual value of people on this earth taking a stand. Oh, that's where I'm bullish.
I love that. I love it. Strong fourth turning hard times create strong men vibes is what I'm getting.
100%.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I'll let you dive in, whether it be David or Nathan. David, I know you're short on time, so if you want to quickly weigh in here.
I think Aladdan said it best earlier, right? It's just putting the accountability back where it needs to be. Bitcoin operates based on, whoever is willing to put in the most value and, willing to spend the most energy, their idea is the one that makes it, right? I mean, you look at people that don't play by the rules. You look at, Donald Trump, you look at Elon Musk, you look at Jeff Bezos, you look at, creators of Netflix. I mean, it's like all these big, massive, crazy innovations. They all started with people saying, well, that's dumb. And people believed in them enough. They believed in their idea enough to just keep going. I'll leave with this, right? Because Nathan said something earlier, and it's if you're going to take one thing away from this, it's that everybody has a part to play. Everybody can contribute. And it's been, my ride in Bitcoin, working full time in Bitcoin, has been tumultuous at best. And it's a roller coaster. And so for the first time in my life, I went months, 6, 8 months without any, real income, right? After my first foray into Bitcoin mining. And it came a point where I got offered a job, and I really probably should have taken it. I should have gone back to the fiat mines and taken it. That would have been the smart thing to do. And it literally, the reason I didn't was not because of the money. My value was in what I was doing, and was I passionate about it, and did I love it? And the people I had worked with on those projects, I wanted to work on them again. I didn't take that other job back because of the people, right? The people that I was working with, right? And I would have given, and I gave up sats for months, right? Paying bills and stuff like that, because that was my value, right? My value was, if it's another shot to keep working in this industry, that's worth it to me, because once you've seen it and you start evaluating it, right, you never want to go back, right? And that was all on me. It wasn't on anybody else. Nobody else could do it. Or, I couldn't call a family member and say, hey, print me some money, throw me some fiat, right? It was either you make your choice or you don't, right? That's a really strong feeling to have. And Aladdan, it's obvious, right? You give your kids that education, make them understand that, because once you realize that, you're not afraid to do it anymore. You're not afraid to step out on your own and do something you're not unsure of, because no matter what, I'm going to be okay, right? I have faith in myself to do it, and things like that. So just want to say thank you to everybody for letting me be on. It's been fantastic. Can't wait to see you guys all in person again sometime soon. But yeah, whatever it is, even if it's just, there's lots of people, right? What is it? Peter McCormick said, right? It's like, well, if you're a plumber, just start accepting Bitcoin. Tell people you accept Bitcoin in exchange for your plumbing services, and you're the Bitcoin plumber, right? Just whatever you're doing, just figure out a way to do something with Bitcoin. So
yeah, I love it. David, thank you so much, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody. All right.
Cheers.
Later, sir.
All right, Nathan, I'm gonna toss it to you again for if you have thoughts on what Aladdan has said and what David
I do. Yeah, so I was right there with you. I definitely got the fourth turning kind of vibes.
Yes.
And the thing that just immediately struck me as well too is that Bitcoiners have the lowest time preference by far. So we're not thinking about maybe next year. We're going generations. We're thinking about stacking sats for the great-great-grandkids. The hope is to set up a legacy, a dynasty, a citadel that we'll be remembered for. And what's so fantastic about that, but not gonna lie, guys, it's gonna suck a little bit, but it's gonna totally be worth it, is that in that role, in this vision, in this way that we think about ourselves and plan for the future, we're the ones that are going to deal with it. And we're going to take on that burden, whatever problems are coming, whatever the big thing of this fourth turning is going to be. Bitcoiners who are the best, the brightest, the smartest, the most productive, the hardest working, we're going to figure it out. We're going to solve the problems. Our kids are going to have a fantastic life, and the generations are going to thank us for it. And it's one step at a time. But I think, to Adam's earlier point, it's a matter of we're just going to bear it. We're going to be the ones to do it. We're not going to be like previous generations. We're not going to kick the can down the road. We're not going to let it be somebody else's problem. We're not going to hide it under the rug. We're not going to shove it into the closet. We're going to look at the problems that we have in this world. We're going to face them head on so they can be done. So we can fix this. We can improve everybody's standard of living, everybody's circumstances, and just keep moving forward. And man, it's so, speaking of why am I bullish about that? Let's talk about exciting, right? You're surrounded by essentially a mass movement, or a small minority, but still a large group of the most inspirational leaders that have just shown up to fix everybody's problems. And it's great. It's unbelievably exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, there's so many great people building, and I mean this goes back to you know, I was talking off the top of the show about, okay, we've got some runway here. Let's get shit done. But I'm bullish because I have no doubt that people will get shit done, and that speaks to the quality of people. There are people in the Nostr chat saying like I'm focusing my time on Bitcoin, and they you know, and I said that I love the Bitcoin brain drain, where people, you know, like it's before it was the fiat brain drain, where it was the best and the brightest in their individual realms would realize like, hey, I can make more money and come out on top playing fiat games and getting closer to the money spigot, providing no value but leeching value off of others. And so you have doctors and, you know, people that would actually like help society, and teachers and all these different people going, I'll go work on Wall Street, and I'll you know, work in derivatives or whatever the fuck else they're going to do. And it's like, what value is being created for society there? And the answer is really none. And so we're seeing a shift in that, and like this idea of, yes, I want to help and contribute to Bitcoin, but it's getting to the point where helping and contributing to Bitcoin can often mean being really, really good at something that just generally benefits your community and society at large, and then saying, I'm going to dedicate my time to that, but I'm going to accept Bitcoin, and I'm going to encourage people to pay me in Bitcoin, and I'm going to pay my suppliers in Bitcoin, and like that in and of itself is contributing to this seismic shift in society where we revalue where we place our time and our efforts. And that's going to be massive. That's massive. Yeah. So with that, I'm cognizant of time. I know we've been going hard at it, but Nathan, I want to get to yours. So we're going to give one last shout out to our final sponsor, and then we're going to dive in with you in like 30 seconds here. So we'll be back in just a moment. Speed is one of the fastest growing Bitcoin Lightning wallets out there. It is a fast and secure way to send and receive Bitcoin and stablecoin payments instantly. You can even swap between Bitcoin and stablecoins directly in the app. Also in the app, you can buy gift cards for all the best brands and earn rewards in the process. To download Speed, simply scan the QR code on the screen, click the links in the show notes down below, and use code BTCSessions10 to get 5,000 sats for free. All right, we're back in. Let's tackle it right away. Nathan, you are up next. I'm going to allow you to maintain control of the mic and cue you up with the same question. Why are you bullish?
So there's a number of reasons. I'll rattle off a couple things real quick, real fast. And last one being the most important. So first and foremost, we're hitting an all-time high going into a global easing cycle. Pretty good reason to be bullish. Fed's cutting, Bitcoin all-time high. Let's not negate that. Second reason, very important reason. Today was the 3rd anniversary for Yellow's Don't Stop Believing Space. Right? And if you want an example of just how much, like how psychotic and committed Bitcoiners are, I don't think there's a better one out there. This dude just he's not going to give up. He still believes, he will keep going. He will fulfill it. And by the way, he's calling for a new prophecy, December 23rd, I think it is, 100K. So you heard it from Yellow, going to hit 100K December 23rd. Everybody get ready. Right? Wouldn't that be glorious? Just going right into the Santa rally. Yeah. Now, the original one that I came here with, the reason why I'm bullish, the one that really hit me over the last week or so is, and it kind of ties into what Aladdan was talking about, and that's that all of the worst people are losing, and they are losing spectacularly. I will just start I got a couple notes written down here. Kamala, popular vote for Trump. I didn't see that happening. I was completely blown away by that aspect of it. I know that California, I think, was in like the high 40s or something for Republicans. New York as well, too. It's unbelievable. I've got Emmanuel Macron, 19% approval rating. I've got Justin Trudeau, 26% approval rating. Joe Biden, 32%. I've got Gallup polls has that trust in the media is at 31%. Trust in newspapers, 18%. Congress, 9%. I love that one. That's amazing. Higher education, 36%. And I forget like who mentioned it earlier as well too, but talking about how like the new media is completely taken over. Corporate media, I think, just got the final death blow. They're done. The worst people are losing their influence. They're losing control. Their money is losing purchasing power. They are just going down in spectacular flames. Even if we look at like the history of the Fed over the last decade or so, particularly I'm thinking about like COVID too, even the money printer is starting to lose its effect a little bit, where we had the COVID crash, and when they dropped interest rates, it didn't really seem to make that much of a difference. That it wasn't until the fiscal spending came into play that they were able to still have influence. I know, and we'll take the example of pollsters as well too. You know, constantly telling you these academics, these pollsters, telling you with their models everything that's going to happen, got completely wiped out by Polymarket because people were speaking with their money, and that thing was dead on. And so the reason that I am very bullish at this point in time is that all the people that are antithetical to freedom, all the people that are against liberty, that want that centralized control, the worst of the worst that have been going up against us, they're losing. They are losing control. They are losing influence. They are losing importance. Who is that like? What the guy is his name? He's the creepiest looking guy ever. And he was talking about if Trump wins, like how bad it was. Yuri something or other.
The guy who wrote God, oh yeah, he's like
he's so smarmy.
WEF
Yes
type guy. He wrote oh god, now I'm it basically like a history of humanity type thing, and then another book on like the future of humanity.
We are all batteries.
Yeah, basically. Basically, he was trying to be like, look, love the robots, get in the pod. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. And
there
these
we go.
people that
shout out to David Wong at the Nostr chat, the guy who wrote Sapiens.
Thank you. Okay, awesome. Thank you, David. And so with that, with Bitcoin's success right now, with the way we're seeing things change, I think one of the major elements was that in COVID, they completely overplayed their hand, right? And Bitcoin's price action right now, I think, is just a reflection of that optimism and calling them out as well, too. So the reason that I am unbelievably bullish on where things are going is because the worst of the worst, the freedom crushing politicians are losing influence, and more of them are on the way out. It's gotten to the point where they've caused, I think, enough pain and distress for people that they're actually feeling it, they're identifying it, and they're starting to look for answers as well too. Like, even just like, regardless of what you think about politics and the validity of it or not, you look at the people surrounding Trump right now. Now, any one of those on their own isn't really an ANCAP in this situation, right? But each one of them tends to be quite good on a few elements or two. And so kind of together, you've got a decent, like, libertarian, freedom-oriented perspective at the table. Like, we're gaining ground and they're losing influence. So just to sum it all up, corporate media, influence is on the way out. The legacy kind of politicians and what we're kind of these career politicians and stuff too, get out. We're done with you. Even central planners, I think your ability to influence the markets is waning, and we're coming for that tool too. So I have every reason in the book to be bullish, to think that we're going to win, and they are just on their knees.
I love it. I want to put a little tag in there as well. So again, this is very much like a mixture of fourth turning and sovereign individual vibes, where as things are shifting, there's a complete loss of faith in all of our major institutions. And we've been seeing it build for some time now. And the people that used to tell us what to think are now flabbergasted when we don't think what they tell us. And that's something they've not experienced yet. You know, even to your point about all of these people that are in positions of power, one of the most interesting things the other day was somebody from the media asked Jerome Powell that if Trump asked him to leave, would he? And he literally just said no.
No.
Like a single one-word answer, no.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't you think blah, blah, blah? No. And that was it. And so what does that do? It makes people realize that despite the name, the Federal Reserve, it's like its own private entity. And so people are going to, I think, now begin to understand kind of the dynamic of like, hey, like we could just like not use that like
That-
not use the dollar. So I think people are starting to wake up. And again, like in and around the polls versus Polymarket and everything, we're seeing we're seeing people being blindsided because they're realizing, oh, like opinion polls may not actually accurately capture what people really think, because there's been such a push where if somebody disagrees with you, you villainize them to such a degree that they're worried to actually voice their real opinions in and around certain people. And so all of these people, when you can't have open dialogue and just openly disagree and then discuss it, you lose the ability to have a grasp on reality. And that's kind of what's happened on the left side of the political spectrum. Is there was such a, oh, if you don't agree with me, or if you might be leaning to the other side, I'm just going to call you a Nazi and a misogynist, and then I'm going to group you in with this group of people, and all of a sudden you've got this group of people that feels alienated, and they're like, well, maybe I do need to vote the other way. And then they get over there and they realize that there's a bunch of other people like them that just kind of feel alienated and also disowned by maybe like they maybe they were in the middle somewhere, and they realize, like, yeah, we've been kind of disowned by one side of the aisle, and so I guess we'll just go over here. And when you shut down conversation, you cannot have an accurate picture of reality because you've turned off an entire side of the conversation. And so that's where we see the polls. People weren't telling the truth because they were worried to. But when money's on the line, incentives actually are trackable, because people aren't going to bullshit with their money, and especially when they can do it anonymously. And so we just saw the power of actual incentives and how accurately that they can predict people's actions.
100%. Aladdan, I'm curious what you think.
Oh, the baddies losing is definitely an amazing feeling. I'll tell you that. I have went red pill, black pill. I've spent my dad red pilled me really young, so I've been learning some really messed up things over the years, and I take my time. So I'll look at all different corners and sides. I'm not going to hear one conspiracy theory and then just run with it. I really like to take my time and make sure that I do the actual research. Holy crap, these baddies needed to lose really bad. And I just hope that there's this flight log thing that comes out that actually gets fully released to all of us. I hope that this party list of people comes out. These are the people that are literally speaking to our children. They're the social media influencers that are literally teaching our kids day to day what music is, what entertainment is. These are some sick, twisted, evil people, and they lost hard this week. And that feels really, really good. And I just hope and pray, I'm not going to put my faith in any politician, but I hope and pray that those lists come out, because that is a way, to your point, Ben, of stopping people from having these conversations, slapping them in the face with, that show that you watch every day that you get all of your information from. You know what they just got busted for doing? Yeah, maybe your opinion might need to open up your mind a little bit more, because you were literally learning, and I'll make sure you don't get banned or anything. I'll keep going. You were literally learning from very bad people.
Yeah.
Of what is right and what is wrong. So super, super happy and super bullish on that part, because it's a trickle effect, and then boom, once it comes out, they'll all start tattling on each other, and it's going to be so fun to watch the implosion of this sick and disgusting group of people that are literally some of the biggest influencers of our children and our family in this world.
we're taking it all back. Like, how many celebrities that were probably on those lists that you're speaking of just came out in full force, and it had no effect, at least nothing measurable. Maybe it would have been worse if they hadn't, but I really think that we've reached that point, or we're reaching that point where nobody cares. Like, entertain me if anything, but that's it. I don't care what you think on these topics. And seeing some of them without a teleprompter as well too was quite priceless. It's like, oh, you can't even remotely riff off this.
Yeah.
And even just like from a little bit of a different angle, just adding to it as well too, the parts I think people forget that can sometimes get people a little bit down, which is every reason to be bullish, is that we don't have to have the majority of people to win. A well-informed and motivated minority can move mountains, and they're pandering to this group as well now too, right? They've realized that we've got some of the most intellectual, hardworking, influential, productive people in the space that are values aligned and are not persuadable, but will come to the table. Again, the big example this cycle round was Ross. Right. And if that happens, that's a major win. That's a fantastic major win. And we're as our numbers continue to grow, as the fiat problems get continually harder and harder to ignore. And that's the other thing that I'm seeing crop up everywhere that I think is part of the reason why they're losing their influence, they're losing sway, is because look at health, right? Look at the Make America Healthy Again movement, right? That's all right, aligned with a bunch of stuff that Bitcoiners have been saying for quite a long time. And it's not like maybe not no one, but most people aren't going to see all the problems or identify everything at once and realize that this is tied to fiat, that it is the base layer communication of value that's distorting and corrupting everything. But as long as they keep seeing some of the problems, some of the consequences of this, each one of those gives them more skepticism in the current system and brings them closer and closer and closer to the root of the problem. And so, yeah, to your point, Aladdan, even if it doesn't come out today, I think those things are coming out, right? Even if they still have some influence today, it's absolutely dwindling. And, it's kind of like the JFK files. It might be a long time before we see the light of day, but Bitcoiners are happy to outweigh anybody, and eventually we're taking down what I would describe as the side of evil.
Yeah. It's interesting to see, and I don't want to dwell on this too much, but it is very interesting to see how surprised certain people were at the outcome. Like I was watching that night thinking that it would be, that it might be close, maybe, like that it could go either way. And so I was, just mentally, I was thinking, okay, well, if it goes one way, then there's one kind of plan of attack. If it goes the other way, there's a different plan of attack, just different priorities for Bitcoiners in general. Like, are you, do you, Kamala would have given us exorbitant money printing, but there also would have been like devs thrown in jail.
Yeah.
And Trump gives us a runway to build, but a whole lot of education to give to people in and around why Bitcoin only. And so like those were kind of our choices. There was no like, hey, there's like somebody who's like right on the Bitcoin standard, like totally tuned in. And there aren't a lot of those people in the world yet, let alone politicians like that in the world. So it makes sense that would kind of be the dichotomy that we're faced with. But more so the fact that people were so, and I know that Bitcoin itself is a bubble and it's easy to forget how little other people know, but holy shite, were certain people that were voting left completely blindsided. Like they thought it was, it's a shoo-in, it's going to be a landslide. And it's like did you not realize that like you've turned off a number of people? And like when you attack every single person that disagrees with you, there's going to be a swell of people that are likely to vote the opposite side of the aisle. And so I still see it. I still see it, like the coverage where what did I see a clip today? And I was like, how out to lunch, it was somebody talking about how, there was a lot of like Latinos that voted for Trump and what happened there. And the reasoning that they gave was that the Latinos are often misogynist and don't want a woman, and they're often racist against Black people.
I was going to bring up that same one. Yeah.
Way to alienate an entire other group of voters that may have gone your way. Like if you can't step back and be like, listen, from my personal experience, I've kind of shifted. I mean, now I'm very much like never trust a politician, but like go back to 2015 when Trudeau got elected. I was like a mainline IV of like left-wing news into my brain. And so I was like, rah Trudeau. And if you're thinking of voting otherwise, you are poison to society. And I was ranting on social media about it left, right, and center. I was completely unaware. And then after the election, when he got in, I spoke to one of the friends that I had that I thought would have most benefited from Trudeau being in office. And I was like, this is one of the people that I voted for. I was doing this for them. And I spoke to that person. I was like, oh, what do you think of the election results and everything? And he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, you made me vote conservative. And I had this moment, like I was silent for a second and I was like, what? What do you mean? And he was like, you were insufferable. You were so obnoxious. You painted everybody with broad strokes and like basically broke it down for me of like why I was just an insufferable asshole. And I had to like internalize that and then go back and like reflect and look myself in the mirror and be like, the very person I thought I was voting for literally went and voted the opposite way and canceled my vote out because of my actions, directly because of my actions. And so I kind of had that realization, 9 years ago, and I just witnessed an entire country do the same thing. And some of them have begun to have that realization, but I think a bunch are still waiting to have that moment. But that's what just happened. That's exactly what just happened.
It's the craziness of ego too, right? There are some people that will never admit that perhaps the information they have is wrong or their worldview isn't accurate. The nice thing, of course, about being moving into the Bitcoin system as much as we can is that if you want value, if you want to accrue value to yourself, you have to provide value to others. And if you don't have an accurate read on what they actually want, you can't do it. Right? If your information is distorted, you can't function. And so it's kind of a self-correcting thing. And, it's funny, again, going back to the baddies losing, even if, there's a handful that come over maybe one or two at a time, right? It still feels like a one-directional movement. Like, I don't know anyone who just swallows a whole basket of orange pills and goes back, right? And so even if going back to the original thing that we got 4 years to keep these happening, if you have somebody who was upset about Peanut the squirrel, right? Now is your time to talk about how the government kills lots of things, right? There's a whole slew of other things that I can point you to that they've done that were as bad or much worse.
Yeah.
And if we keep working bit by bit on those little strays, the people that had the moment, like Ben had with his friend, that you have those opportunities to jump in there and go, hey, maybe let's take a look at this. Maybe let's talk about it. And the other thing that I did want to quickly throw out too, I forget what it was you said that made me think of it, but it goes back to this idea of not letting up as well too. And, the nice little wins that we're having is that once Ross is out, don't stop. We can still go after, we need the samurai guys. We could go for Snowden. Yes. Like, do not be satisfied. It's like, okay, we'll take our next prisoner of war, please. And thank you.
Yeah. 100%.
This is going to be a hell of a year, you guys.
It's going to be unbelievable. I'll tell you the one thing, and this is terrible. The one thing that I'm not looking forward to is this is going to be so incredible and so unbelievable, but I'm still kind of holding on to cycles are a thing. And we're going to have to wait it out for the next one.
Are you saying that it's not the super cycle, Nathan?
No, I thought even Marty was talking about it way
Eric.
too early. Like, come on, Mr. Bent. No, it is not. We are so early. Retail is not even here yet. Let me just quickly double check. I think we're looking at like 4 sats per V-byte. Everything is 4 sats per V-byte right now.
Yeah.
Retail hasn't even remotely showed up, and we're already getting super cycle talk. Nah, too soon. Not happening. Don't jinx it.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, shh.
Quiet. Don't look at it. Don't talk about it.
Don't notice.
Fine.
We're not at all-time highs. Shh. Well, gents, I think it's time to put a bow on the whole thing. Let's do it like a quick kind of round of any final thoughts you might have. But more importantly, at the end of episodes, I like to ask the guests to give a recommendation, and this can take any form that you like. It might be as simple as a piece of life advice. It might be a book or a podcast or a website or a device or an app or something, just anything you think is cool for somebody to check out. So my general thought here, again, I'm just going to echo my main sentiment from my reason is we've got time. Let's not squander it. Let's build. If you don't know how to build, learn the tools and share them and share the skills with others as you learn them. In terms of recommendations, I will once again shill the SAT market. And so I've got the SAT market up. If you're on Nostr, please give this a scan. You can follow the SAT market, even if you're not in and around Calgary and you can't make it. And we will be dropping info on the dates, but it's going to be in and around the weekend of the 14th, 15th of December. So full Christmas, we're going to hit the mountains, and then we're going to have a market in Calgary as well. So it's going to be a good time and just like fun hanging out with Bitcoiners. So please do follow on Nostr, or if you don't want to scan the QR, the end of the NIMPO 5 is btcsatmarket@getlb.com. You'll be able to find us there. Or if you're not on Nostr yet, which come on guys, then you can head over to X and you can follow @BTCSatMarket. And there'll be links there that you can also follow as well. But if you can't make it, learn from what we're doing, try and emulate it, and build your own local circular economy, because I can think of nothing that is more unfuckwithable than local connections with people that you know, exchanging sats for goods and services. It's really hard to shut that shit down. So let's fucking go. Aladdan, tossing it to you. Final thoughts, recommendations. Go ahead.
This year's holidays with the family is going to be really special for everyone in Bitcoin. It's going to feel really good. I mean, we've had a couple good ones if you've been in for a little while, but this one's going to be really good. My thoughts and recommendations isn't on a particular product. It's on your family. Be proud. Be very, very proud. You made it through the bear market. You made it through the hell. You stuck with it, and there's a lot to be proud about being a Bitcoiner that stayed with it. At the same time, be compassionate. That is what we all need across this world right now. Be compassionate with your family. And if there's anything you can do for them, just getting them started with even 1,000 sats, something to watch. The worst thing is when you get people into Bitcoin in a bull market, in a run. Yeah, we still got room to go. I don't know where we're going to be. Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever holiday you have with your family, whatever that time comes, New Year's. Most people that buy the top or buy on the way up end up getting wrecked, and then they leave and they're angry and bitter. The best way is just getting people off zero, and off zero is 1,000 sats. And there's really fun ways to be able to do that between the family. You can play games, Yahtzee, whatever you want to be able to. Here's 100,000 sats, and we're going to play these games, and each person can win. Make it really fun. Get people involved. Be proud. Be compassionate. And my advice for Ben, the thumbnail for this Why Are We Bullish should be Why Are We Based? Because this was quite a conversation with you guys. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
I just love being here with you.
Love it. Awesome. Thanks, Aladdan. Nathan, you're up. Final thoughts, recommendations. Go ahead.
All right, I got two recommendations, two things that I'll throw out there. First and foremost, for all the Bitcoiners that haven't already, don't forget to make Bitcoiners the old-fashioned way, all right? Go out there, make some babies, make it happen. Let's grow our ranks. We know the recipe. It's a great way to do it. 10 out of 10, recommend. The other thing that I'm going to throw out there, because it's something that's actually been incredibly valuable to me, is I'll just actually make two quick book recommendations. There are tons of things outside of Bitcoin that you can do to level up your skills that can have huge dividends. And one that's helped me tremendously is studying both like communications and negotiations and things like this too. So my other like easy, practical kind of recommendation, as for anybody who can listen to an audiobook, you got time to pick up something to read, grab Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, one of my favorite books. And the other one is Start With No by Jim Camp. Both of those for me have been unbelievably helpful in just navigating and, again, building better relationships.
Awesome. I've recently read Never Split the Difference, and Start With No is on my list of next reads or next audiobooks. But yeah, it's again super valuable. I really enjoyed the first one there, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So yeah, great recommendation. Awesome. Well, gentlemen, it's time to cap it out. I really appreciate both of you joining, and David as well. It was a blast, and yeah, I mean, we're in for a hell of a, not just end of the year, but like 2025 is going to be so interesting. There will not be a dull moment, I don't think. So I'll be seeing you guys, of course, all of you, David included, in person. I'm going to be, we'll be gallivanting the globe at events and everything. And damn, let's get to work. So yeah, thank you guys so much. That was awesome. You're both welcome back anytime.
Beautiful.
Thank you, brother.
So, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Later, Nathan.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ben. Later, Aladdan.
Cheers, guys. Awesome. And everybody, thank you for sticking around and enjoying the show. Make sure, of course, you do like, subscribe, share. All those things help a ton. The previously mentioned sponsors are, of course, down below in the show notes. And then on which side? This side? There we go. Over here, there's a QR code for you. So we were talking about Bitcoin Mentor earlier. We've got an awesome team of educators. Nathan is on it, along with a bunch of other incredible, knowledgeable Bitcoiners that can help you through just about anything in your Bitcoin journey. But many of you here may already have leveled up and are going to have a lot of friends, family, and acquaintances asking you, where the hell do I learn about Bitcoin? I need some hand holding. Well, you can send them to us. You can scan that QR code. You can sign up as a Bitcoin Mentor affiliate. That will give you your own special link. And when you share that link with people, if they come and they book a session with us, you will get $21 in Bitcoin. And that's not just for their first session, that's for every single session that they book with us. Somebody books 10 sessions, there's $210. And so you can share this. You can share this around with anybody that is curious and wanting to learn. We will make sure that they have the best practices, and you get to stack sats while new Bitcoiners stack skills. So I can't think of a better way to go ahead and build your stack. Anyways, with that, I am out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be. See you guys next time for your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.